Good morning students, and I am Sajeena. So from SOBES department, MA English, now only cracked reasoning, and today we are going to deal with effective communication skills. Before entering into the topic, we want to know what is communication. Actually, the term communication, it has been derived from the Latin word communicare or communis, which means to make common. Why do we use communication? Because we want to process, it is a process of exchanging our information, our ideas, our thoughts, our feelings as well as our messages to a particular group, to a particular person or an individual group. What are the definition of communication? According to Alan Lewis, communication is a sum of all things one person does when he wants to create understanding in the minds of another. It involves a systematic and continuous process of telling, listening and understanding. According to Alan Lewis, we want to create understanding in the minds of another person. Actually, it is a process of listening something, understanding something. It is a continuous process according to Alan Lewis. And according to George Terry, communication is an exchange of our facts, our ideas, our emotions, our opinions. So, to a particular person or two or more persons. What are the characteristics of communication? First one is it is a two-way process because we can't communicate to ourselves. We want to communicate to a particular person or else a group. So, minimum 2 persons should be there or otherwise maybe 2 or more persons. So, it is a two-way process. There should be a conversation between a sender as well as a receiver. So, communication can take place only where there are at least 2 persons. One person has to convey some message or another has to receive it. So, the best example it is a classroom communication. The teacher comes under the category of a sender and the students comes under the category of a receiver. So, it is a two-way process or else a conversation between two friends. There should be a sender and as well as there should be a receiver. So, exchange of ideas. Communication cannot be taught in an absence of exchange of ideas because in a communication there should be surely there should be an exchange of ideas between two persons. So, in order to complete the process of communication, there must be an exchange of idea, order, feeling, etc. among 2 or more than 2 persons. Okay. Knowledge of language. Language is very essential. The sender, if you are communicating in English, surely the receiver, if he knows the language English, then only he can understand what the sender he tries to convey it. And as well as if the sender he actually communicates in Tamil, if the receiver he don't know the language Tamil, he knows Hindi or else another languages, then the communication should be a failure. So that's shown in this particular topic, knowledge of language. To make the communication successful, the receiver should first of all understand the sender's message. For this, the sender must speak in a language that is known to the receiver. The best example, if the receiver he cannot understand English and the sender he conveys his ideas in English, the communication should be completely failure. Because the receiver he can't understand what the sender he tries to communicate, he tries to speak. So, knowledge of language is very essential in the characteristic of communication. Next one is it is a continuous process. Communication is an endless process. We cannot freeze it at any moment. It is a dynamic process of our action. It also interacts towards a desired goal. If it is a company, the manager he actually continuously conveys to his officers, to his employees, because he continually assigning the task. So it is a continuous and as well as a dynamic process. The best example, manage or any officer continuously assign work to his subordinates. At the same time, he also tries to know the progress of the work as well as give direction to achieve the desired goal. Next, the communication should be an direct as well as an indirect. What do you mean by direct? Direct communication means the face-to-face interaction. If you are going for an interview, the face-to-face interaction, if you are communicating with your friend through face-to-face, it comes under the category of a direct communication. Indirect means the emails and as well as the letter, that comes under the category of an indirect communication. It is not necessary in communication that the receiver and sender should communicate face-to-face with each other. Communication can be both direct as well as indirect. Direct communication means face-to-face conversation, while indirect communication means some other means. What are the key components we actually needed to communicate? First one is sender. Surely in a communication it is a two-way process, we know that, and surely there should be a sender as well as a receiver. And message, what message they actually want to communicate, it depends upon what kind of topic, that comes under the category of message. And medium, what medium they actually chose, if they chose Zoom medium or Google Meet or face-to-face, that comes under the category of medium. And as well as the feedback, if the sender he actually communicate, in the end the receiver wants to give any kind of feedback, then only we know that the communication is completely successful. Otherwise we can consider that it should be comes under the category of a failure. And the last one is context, the environmental context, what kind of environment they actually choose to communicate. What are the types of communication we are actually having? Okay, verbal communication, non-verbal communication, visual communication as well as written communication. Verbal communication we actually knows our oral communication. Non-verbal communication, that means our body language, our facial expression, etc. And visual communication, that means our charts, graphs, the postures, the advertisement. And the last one is written communication, that means our emails, etc. So oral communication, what do you mean by that oral communication? It includes face-to-face conversation, speech, telephonic conversation, video, TV, radio, internet, etc. Our spoken words are also used in oral communication. Oral communication is influenced by our pitch, our volume, our tone, our intonation, the speech, the clarity, the speed, everything comes under the category of an oral communication. They all termed as a para-language. The pitch, volume, speed, clarity, it comes under the category of a para-language. They actually referred as para-language. So what are the disadvantages of oral communication? Actually, the delivered words are temporary. If I am standing in the classroom, I am teaching something. So after the class, the students will forget some of the points what I actually taught. So it is actually temporary. So what is here is often forgotten. If maybe a speaker or well as in the classroom communication, the students often forget what actually they heard. And user is unable to think about what he is delivering. The next one is written communication. Communication which is performed through any written document is called written communication. Like our signs, our symbols are used to communicate in this communication. Messages can be transmitted through email, letter, remote, memo, etc. Report, memo, etc. Therefore, written communication is the process of communicating in which message or information is exchanged or communicator within a sender as well as a receiver through a written form. So the emails, memos, report, whatever we actually return in a particular form, that comes under the category of a written communication. So what are the disadvantages actually we are facing in a written communication? Actually, in an oral communication we can get the feedback immediately after I completed my seminar. So the students give immediate feedback, what are the doubts they are actually having, and they will give the feedback also. So but in the written communication it actually takes some time. So if I am sending an email to my colleague or to my higher authority, When if I send in the evening, they actually open the email in the afternoon session or in the evening. So after that, only after reading the entire email, they will give some kind of feedback. Actually, it actually takes some time. So it does not bring an instant feedback, but in an oral communication it can bring an instant feedback, but in a written communication it is extremely opposite. It does not bring an instant feedback. It takes more time in composing a written message because not everyone is good at their writing. Some people they will struggle. So they will feel they will comfortable in oral communication comparing with written communication. So these are the three advantages we are having in written communication. First one is it does not bring any kind of instant feedback. Second one is it takes more time to compose a written message. So in third one is because everyone is not good at their writings. So these are the three disadvantages we are having in written communication. The next topic, non-verbal communication. What are the non-verbal communication we are actually having? So the first one is proxemics, that means our social distance. Second one is paralanguage, that means our vocal sounds, our speech, our intonation, our voice, clarity, speed, etc. And third one is artifacts, that means our physical appearance like our clothing, my handbags and my slippers. What are the physical appearance I am having, that comes under the category of an artifacts. Then one is haptics, that means touch. If I am touching the shoulder of my friend, if I am handshaking, so each of the touch has a very different meaning, that comes under the category of haptics. Next one is kinesics, that means our hand movements. So what are the hand movements we are actually using, like hi, bye, etc. The hand movements comes under the category of kinesics. Next one is chronemics, that means the time, how much time you are actually taking. So that's also a kind of communication. So next one is factics, that means a sense of smell like perfumes, what kind of perfume I am actually using, that's also conveys something about me. These are all the things that comes under non-verbal communication, the proxemics, the paralanguage, the artifacts, the haptics, kinesics and chronemics, factics, etc. So what is the difference between formal communication as well as an informal communication? What do you mean by that? Formal communication. Actually, formal communication, it follows a very structured and predefined protocol, predefined channel, adhering to organized protocols and hierarchies. It typically used in professional setting. So formal communication we actually using to our hierarchies, to our manager, to the principal, to the executive officer, to our hierarchies we are using formal communication. We want to prepare something, we want to give them in a particular order. The best example reports, emails, official meetings as well as presentation. If you are using the presentation, it have unstructured, it have a separate structure, it has a format, as well as the report, as well as emails. Everything has a structured format. If you are sending some email to our hierarchies, we will refer what is the subject, why do we write this particular email. We will refer everything. It has a structure, it has a format. But in informal communication, it is extremely opposite. Because informal communication is very more casual as well as spontaneous, often occurring between our colleagues, our peers, our family members without following any kind of official protocols. If you are talking to our friend, we are speaking in a very casual manner. We don't need to prepare anything to talking to our friends. But in our hierarchies, we want to prepare some things. We can't speak in a very spontaneous manner like our friends. So it has some difference. To our hierarchies, we are using very formal communication. We want to be very perfect, so very structured as well as a proper format. But in informal communication, it is extremely opposite. So in our friends, we are talking in a very casual as well as spontaneous manner, as well as our parents. To talk with our, if you are talking with our parents, we don't need to prepare anything. So the best examples like our conversation between our friends, to our classmates, etc. Our text messages, our WhatsApp messages, we don't prepare anything. We are typing the message in a Tanglish manner. The next one is our social media like Facebook, Instagram, etc. Then our coffee breaks, the interval time period, then instant messaging. So these are all the examples, the best example for an informal communication. Effective communication. So before that we will study what is communication, what are the characteristics of communication, what are the key components of communication. Now we are going to see what is effective communication. Actually, there is a difference between communication as well as effective communication. Today we are going to deal with that also. So first one is, what is the definition for effective communication? So effective communication, it is the process of exchanging our information in a manner that is very clear, concise, brief, accurate and to the point and understood by all the parties involved. For an effective communication, there are communication as well as effective communication, both are same, but there is a difference. In an effective communication, after you completed your communication, the receiver will completely understand what you are trying to say. If the receiver gives the feedback, we will know that okay, the communication is completely effective. So the receiver, he will not have any kind of doubt, as well as he will clear in his point. Then only we know that the communication is completely effective. So what is the difference between effective communication as well as ineffective communication? So effective communication, actually the point, it is very clear, concise and easily understood by the recipient. If it is ineffective, it is something very unclear, confusing or misunderstood. It can lead to some misunderstanding, mistrust and failure to achieve some desired goals. So there is a difference. For this effective communication, the reader, so the receiver will completely understand what we try to say. For an ineffective communication, it will lead to some confusion. Our point should not be clear sometimes. It may lead to some confusion. So our points will be little bit unclear. So our message is little bit unclear, it comes under the category of ineffective communication. If it is clear, it comes under the category of effective communication. So what are the 7 C's of communication we actually need to communicate? First one is clarity, second one is conciseness, and third one is concreteness, fourth one is correctness, and fifth one is coherent, and sixth one is completeness, and last one is courtesy. These are the 7 C's of communication we actually want to communicate in a very effective manner. We are going to discuss these things one by one. First one is clarity. Convey your message clearly so that it is easily understood by everybody. So you are going to convey some message in a very clear-cut manner. That comes under the category of clarity. So example, I actually provided 2 examples, example number 1 as well as example number 2. So one of the example is correct and the next one is wrong, and you are going to identify which one is correct and which one is wrong. Pause the video and you just guess which one is right. Okay, we will see. Example number 1. Please bring it to the place where we usually meet for our discussion. And second one. Please bring the report to the conference room. Which message is clear? Of course, the message 2. Please bring the report to the conference room. So actually the manager, he is actually saying, please bring the report to the conference room. And message is completely clear. In an example 1, it is actually opposite. Please bring it to the place where we usually meet for our discussion. You want to bring the report to the place where they actually meet for our discussion. So actually the employer or as well as the person, it may lead to some confusion. He maybe have some doubts. We are actually sometimes we will meet in the seminar hall, sometimes we meet in the conference room. And which place actually he want to mention? It may lead to some kind of it's lead to some kind of confusion. So in example 1, it actually is wrong, and example 2 actually is correct. The second one is effective communication. The first one is just an ineffective communication. Second one is conciseness. Our message should be very brief. So keep your message brief and to the point by avoiding some unnecessary words. What you are trying to say? You just tell that in a very brief and short manner. No need to exaggerate your conversation by using some kind of unnecessary and ornamental words. The example number 1. So the same thing, you just pause the video and identify answer for that. You need to finish the report, make sure it is done properly and then send it to me before the end of the day. Second one is, please submit the report by 5 p.m. So your message want to be very clear. So second example is actually right. Please submit the report by 5 p.m. You want to submit the report by 5 p.m. If you are going to submit the report before that, we will check everything, right? So the message is completely clear. But in example number 1, they actually saying some unnecessary words. You want to finish the report, you want to check it properly, so you want to submit it before the end of the day. So we don't need this kinds of very so detailed explanation and unnecessary words. So example 2, it's actually correct. Third one is concreteness. So you want to provide specific facts and figures to support your message. If your ma'am is asking when you are going to submit your assignment to your project, so you will say, ma'am, almost completed. Some will say, ma'am, 75% completed, 25% remaining. We will submit on the day after tomorrow. So we will actually saying some specific facts. Ma'am, 50% completed, 15% pending. Then the teacher will understand, okay, surely he will submit on the next class. He will completed half of the project. So our message here, we want to give some specific facts as well as figures to support our message as well as our conversation. So there are two examples. In the first example number 1, the project is 75% complete and we are on the track to finish by the end of the week. And second one is the project is moving forward well. Of course, the first one is extremely correct because we are giving some specific facts like, ma'am, our project is 75% completed, 25% remaining, we are going to submit at the end of the week. And the second one is little bit confusing. The project is moving forward well, the manager will can't understand how much we actually completed. He actually don't know whether we completed 25% or 50% or we will didn't start itself. So that should be lead to some confusion. The first one is it is effective communication. If it is effective communication, we want to provide some specific facts so that the receiver, he will understand our message in a very complete manner. It doesn't lead any kind of confusion. And the second one is little bit confusing. It comes under the category of an ineffective communication. Next one is correctness. Our message should be very clear and free from some grammatical errors and factual inaccuracies. So ensure our message is free from grammatical errors and factual inaccuracies. So there should be in two examples. The first example, please send the report by 5 p.m. on Tuesday. Second one, please send the report on 5 p.m. by Tuesday. So of course the first one is correct because it can send the message in a very free and without any kind of grammatical errors. In example 2, it's little bit, there should be a little bit correction because Tuesday the spelling is wrong and the preposition is completely misplaced. So if you are sending an email or well as if you are doing any kind of presentation, we want to check whether we are committing any kind of mistakes or whether it is completely clear. Next one is coherent. So presenting our information is very logical and orderly manner. It ensures that the message is easy to follow and understand. This helps prevent confusion and ensure that the audience can grasp the intended message effectively. So coherent means you want to talk in a very orderly manner. If I am talking about my project, suddenly I changed my topic and I move that what about the examination, the receiver will become little bit confused what he is trying to say. If he is talking about the project or the examinations. So our speech, it should be a little bit orderly manner, logical and as well as a orderly manner. Then only the receiver will completely understand what we will try to say. So that should be in two examples. The first one. So answer the question. First read the introduction. Finally write a summary of what you learned. Second one. First read the introduction. Then answer the question. Finally write a summary of what you learned. So of course the example number 2 is correct because it is logically ordered. First, if you are going to read anything, first we will read about the introduction about the writer, what he will try to say. Then we will move into the topic, what he will actually try to say in his particular book. We will read that, and then after completed everything, we will do some kind of workbook. The SR noted question, the close-ended, the open-ended question, etc. In the end, we will write the summary. So the second one is logically ordered. First, we will study the introduction. So then to the topic, then we will answer for the question. In the end we will write the summary. In the first one is it actually lead to some confusion because the answer the question is not possible. First we want to read the introduction, the concept, then only we will answer the question because it was not logically ordered in example number 1. So example number 2, it comes under the category of effective communication. First one is wrong and the second one is correct. So completeness, our message should be completed. So then only the receiver will completely understand what we try to say. So provide all necessary information so the audience has everything they need to understand and respond appropriately. So example number 1. Please submit the financial report, include the quarterly earnings, expenditure breakdown and future projection by 5 p.m. on Friday. The second one, please submit the financial report by 5 p.m. on Friday. If in a company, a new employee is actually entering into the company, if the manager will say, please submit the financial report by 5 p.m. on Friday, so actually he will submit it. So after his submission, he will lack some things. He will lack some quarterly earnings, he will miss that, otherwise he will miss some expenditure breakdown. If the manager will say, you want to include these things like your quarterly earnings, your expenditure breakdown and your future projection, everything, you want to add everything, surely the receiver as well as his employer will not commit any kind of mistakes. So our message should be completed. We want to give all the necessary information the receiver actually needed. So example number 1 is correct and example number 2 is incorrect. So courteous, we want to communicate in a very friendly, open and respectful manner. So if you are communicating to our colleagues or if you are communicating to our junior employee, whoever may be, we want to speak in a very polite and a very friendly manner. So the best example, the first one, could you please send me the completed report by this afternoon? The second one, send me the report by this afternoon. And the second example number 2, it may be some aggressive tone. So it little bit looks awkward. For the example 1, it is completely polite. Actually, we are completely polite and as well as a friendlier manner. What are the 6 steps we are actually need for an effective communication? First one is clarity. Second one is active listening. Third one is non-verbal communication. Fourth one is know your audience. And fifth one is feedback. Sixth one is questioning techniques. These are the 6 steps we actually needed to 6 steps for an effective communication. We are going to discuss this one by one. First one is clarity. So we already discussed about the topic clarity. So clarity in communication means expressing our ideas in a very clear and understandably, so others can easily grasp what you are saying. We actually know that this topic clarity. Clarity means we want to say our topic in a very clear cut and on to the point. Then only the receiver will understand. Second one is active listening. So communication is not just about what you say. If you want people to listen to you, you need to listen to them. If you are actually taking the class, so you are completely speaking throughout the 45 minutes. You are not asking about the feedback as well as the doubts of the students. Then how did you know where the students they actually lagging? So communication is not just about a single process. It is a two-way process. It is a spontaneous as well as two-way process. So if the sender is trying to say something and the receiver wants to give his feedback, he wants to try to speak. So after the sender completed his message, then only we know that the receiver has completely understood his message. That's why he is asking some doubts and he is giving his feedback. So active listening is also essential for an effective communication. Second, show student that you are listening by maintaining the eye contact and nodding. You want to maintain the eye contact. If the 60 students are sitting in our classroom, we want to maintain our eye contact. If you are just concentrating on the first bench itself or the last bench itself, the middle bencher will start to sleep. So eye contact is very essential. So during the process of communication. And the next one is nodding. And often just nod your heads. So if the student is taking the seminar, you just nod your heads here and there. So then only the students will know that okay, our teacher is listening our lecture. So this is a kind of showcasing that you are listening to his conversation as well as his seminar. Next one is avoid distraction like looking at your phone or multitasking. If the students is taking the seminar and you are putting the attendance and you are using your mobile phones, then the students will lack the interest. So in active listening, we want to avoid these kinds of distraction like using the mobile phones and as well as the multitasking. Next one is non-verbal communication. What are the things we are actually using in a non-verbal communication? Verbal communication means our oral communication. So non-verbal communication means our body language, our facial expression, our eye contact, our gestures, our postures. It's all comes under the category of a non-verbal communication. Sometimes non-verbal communication can speak more than a verbal communication. The students can understand our body language in a very easier manner than our verbal communication. So the explanation actually they gave here is communication involves not just the words you speak, but what your body is saying. Non-verbal communication involves using your body language, facial expression, your eye contact, your gesture and posture to convey messages without using words. Our body language can send a stronger message than words. If anyone is asking to you, how are you? You are saying, I am good. So actually the tone is extremely different, right? Your facial expression is different. You are saying that I am good. It is a verbal communication. He will understand that okay, he is looking too good. But your facial expression, it says something different. You are saying that particular line in a very sad manner. Then he will understand, okay, he has some problems. So our non-verbal communication, it can actually send a very stronger message than our verbal communication. Next one is know your audience. If you are going to take a seminar or as well as a class, you want to know who is your audience. Maybe the audience may be 15 years old students. Otherwise the audience should be a PhD scholars. Actually the age differs, the audience differs. So apart from that you want to change your tone, your voice, your message, etc. Then only the receiver will completely understand. So know your audience is very essential for an effective communication. Understand the audience, age and what background. Sometimes they will be from a very rural background. It is different. So background is also very important before communicating something. Then your knowledge level. You want to know, if you are taking seminar to a 15-year-old boy, his knowledge will be little bit low. If you are talking to a PhD scholar, he will be have a little more knowledge. So knowledge level is also very essential and interest. What should be the interest of the 15-year-old student? What should be the interest of a PhD scholar? We want to know everything. So before you are presenting a seminar, you want to know these kinds of things. Who is the audience? What is their age? What is their background? What is their knowledge level? And what is their interest? Then only the receiver will completely successful after we are completing our seminar or as well as our workshop. So our same speech, our same conversation, so our same speech. So it won't be succeed with every audience. So audience will differ. So according to that we want to change our pitch, speech, conversation, etc. Feedback. So feedback is very essential for effective communication. If the receiver gives the feedback, then only the sender will understand that our message is completely successful. Otherwise it should be considered as a failure. So feedback in communication means giving someone helpful information about how they communicated. It includes what was effective and what could be improved. Mostly in feedback we gave the students that okay, you did it well, but you want to concentrate on this particular topic. You want to concentrate on your voice, you want to concentrate on your pitch, etc. We want to give this kinds of feedback after the class, after the seminar, etc. It should not be suitable for the students, it should be suitable for the other employers in the company also. So feedback is very essential. So what are the types of feedback we are actually having? So we are having 5 kinds of feedback. The first one is positive feedback, second one is constructive feedback, third one is specific feedback, fourth one is timely feedback and fifth one is balanced feedback. First one, positive feedback. We are giving to the students, well done, excellent, extraordinary. So this comes under the category of positive feedback. If the students really did well, we can give this kinds of appreciation. Second one is constructive feedback. If students is writing a sum on the board, you are saying that okay, first 2 steps is correct, but you just check the third step. I think there should be some mistakes. So there is constructive feedback. You are pointing something. Third one is specific feedback. Okay, you did very well, but you want to concentrate on your grammar part. You are lagging on that. You just concentrate on that. You are particularly specifying that where they are actually lagging. Next one is timely feedback. Timely feedback, the students taking seminar today. You are going to tell the feedback after they completed the seminar. If you are saying the feedback on the next day, it should be considered as ineffective. So timely feedback is very essential. If they completed the seminar, workshop, you want to give the feedback in a very immediate manner. Next one is balanced feedback. So balanced feedback actually it means so if the students is taking the seminar in a very average manner, you want to say that you did well, excellent, but you just want to concentrate on your pitch and as well as the intonation as your facial expression. These are the things you are lagging, but you actually did well. You just concentrate on these 3 parts. So that is balanced feedback. You want to give both positive as well as the negative feedback in a very balanced manner. Question Questioning technique, that is very essential. So after the communications, after you completed the communication, so you want to ask the question. If you are teaching in the class, so after you are teaching, you want to ask the question to the students. So they will give their answers. If the students, they will give the very correct answers, and sometimes they will struggle it. So then only the teacher will actually understand whether the students, he will listen the complete class or not, whether he will understand the topic or not. So questioning technique is very important, and we are having the three important types of questions. First one is open-ended question. So open-ended question means what do you think that? That is an open-ended question. Do you think he will alive? Do you think he will survive? This is an open-ended question. Whatever may be the answer, it depends upon the student's imagination. So the next one is close-ended question. That means yes or no questions like true or false. Choose the correct answer. The answer should be yes, or otherwise it should be no. It is a close-ended question. Actually, we are providing the options also in a close-ended question. And the third one is probing question. Probing question means a little bit deeper. Little bit deeper. If we are saying that okay, or you just analyze what may be the topics actually they are using, what may be the symbols they are actually using. So this kinds of question that comes under probing question. It is little bit complicated than the open-ended questions. So the explanation actually they are giving is use open-ended question to encourage the deeper thinking and discussion. For the deeper thinking and discussion, we are using this open-ended question. Mostly they are using this kinds of question for after 10th standard, 10th, 11th, 12th. So the college students, we are implementing this kinds of question, open-ended question. And close-ended question for a specific information. If it is school students, for 4th or 5th grade students, we will use this kinds of question like close-ended. After completing the lesson, we want to ask who is the protagonist of the story, what will you learn from the story, what is the moral of the story. Tell me which one is right and which one is false. That comes under the category of a close-ended question. This can be suitable for the school students like 4th to 6th grade students. Next one is probing question. It is little bit complicated. If you are doing your MA or MPhil or ME degree, you want to use this probing question to your students. So it is the questions are used to explore or deeper into a topic and to clarify understanding. It should be suitable for our companies also. It should be suitable for the experienced candidate. We will ask these kinds of probing questions. On the questioning techniques, we are actually having three kinds. One is open-ended, other one is close-ended. The last one is probing questions. So conclusion. So actually our topic is effective communication. What we are actually trying to say in this entire PPT. So effective communication is essential for building a very strong relationship, fostering our understanding and achieving our goals. It can promote a very positive outcomes in both personal as well as professional settings. Effective communication is very important in our personal as well as professional setting. Personal setting means to our friends. If you are communicating to a friend daily but in a very ineffective manner, so he will start to avoid me. Otherwise, he will not listen what we try to say. But in an effective communication, you are trying to say in a very brief, short as well as a clarity. The message should be very clear. The listener he will patiently listen. So it can provide a very good outcome for us. It will foster a very good understanding as well as a relationship. So there is a difference between a communication for an effective communication. So if you want to communicate effectively, we want to follow these kinds of key components, the characteristics and as well as the 7 C's of communication. So the PPT is completed. Now it's your turn. You want to answer for this MCQs. So the first question is non-verbal communication includes. What are the things we are actually using a non-verbal communication? I gave the 4 options A, B, C, D and you want to identify which one is correct. First one is written memos, second one is facial expression, third one is telephone calls and fourth one is email. Of course, the answer B is right, facial expression. So facial expression only comes under non-verbal communication. The other things comes under verbal communication like written memos, telephone calls, email, etc. Next one is effective communication fosters misunderstanding, conflict, teamwork, ambiguity. So effective communication will leads to dash. So if it leads to some kind of misunderstanding, no, that comes under the category ineffective. Next one is conflict. It can bring any kind of fight. Definitely no. Third one is teamwork. Of course, the option C is correct. Effective communication, it will foster us to very good teamwork. Okay. Next one is two truths and one lie. I actually provide three sentences and two of the sentences are entirely correct and one of them is wrong. You want to identify which one is correct and which one is false. I am going to read one by one. Just listen that. Non-verbal communication such as our body language, our facial expression can convey more information than verbal communication. Of course, it is completely correct because according to that, our non-verbal communication can speak a lot than our verbal communication. So our verbal communication, our non-verbal communication like our facial expression, our body language, it can speak sometimes more than a verbal communication. So the option 1 is entirely correct. Second one. Effective communication relies solely on the speaker's ability to articulate their message clearly. So there should be a message. There should be a mistake. Effective communication not completely depends upon your sender. It should be depends upon the receiver also. The receiver will understand, then only the message will be considered as a success. Otherwise, it should be considered as a failure. It's not completely depends upon the sender. It should be depends on both sender as well as the receiver. So the second one is completely wrong. Third one. Active listening is crucial for effective communication. We actually saw that also. Active listening is very important for an effective communication. So the point is right. As it ensures the listener fully understand the speaker's message. So active listening is very crucial as well as important in effective communication. So point 1 as well as point 3 is correct and point 2 is extremely wrong. So this is an open-ended question for you. So what kind of strategy have you found effective in ensuring clear communication? Ensuring the effective communication. I talk about the 7 C's of communication like clarity, conciseness, etc. What do you think? Which kind of C is very useful for us to communicate in a very efficient and effective manner? According to me, the clarity, clear and conciseness, that is very important. All the 7 C's of communication is very important, but the first 3 is more important because the message should be very clear as well as a very short form, then only the receiver will understand in a very easier manner. So according to me, the first 3 is more important. I will not say that all the other things are not important. All the 7 C's of communication is very essential to communicate in a very effective manner. The first 3 is little bit more important comparing with the others. And now it's your time. You want to say that what kind of C's do you find very effective to communicate to your friends, to your hierarchies in a very clear, for a very clear as well as an effective communication. So thank you, and this is my PPT. I think you will completely understood the topic. Thank you.